holding a campaign rally in Wisconsin on behalf of U.S. Senate candidate Leah Vukmir and Governor Scott Walker, who's seeking re-election. California Senator Kamala Harris traveled to Iowa this week to support candidates for statewide and federal office. One of her stops included a Get Out the Vote rally organized by the Polk County Democrats. Senator Harris has been named as a potential 2020 presidential candidate. The last time she visited Iowa was in 2008 to campaign for Barack Obama.
It's a lot of y'all in here. How's it going, Polk County? Are y'all ready to vote? I know that's right. So am I. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to come out this evening to support our efforts and rally the troops so that we can get some stuff done. We've got 15 days, y'all. 15 days until the last day to cast our ballots. And it's going to take each and every one of us to make this thing happen. And I think we can do it. I think we can do it. You know, when I think about the work that's ahead of us, let me break something down to you just for a second. So typically what happens in midterm races like this, our party focuses on what we call reliable voters, those folks who typically show up and they participate in the elections. We've got a lot of money to focus on that. And then we got a little extra money to focus on those folks who maybe show up in presidential races, but they don't always show up in midterm races. So we want them to show up. Needless to say, that's going to leave some people out, right? And we know that there are folks that are raising a lot of money to oppose the things that we stand for. And that's okay, because there is no amount of money that can counter the people power in this room. No amount of money. So with that being said, I'm gonna put y'all to work, all right? So I talked to you about the list that the party focuses on and what we have the resources to focus on. Let's talk about your list. You know, we create lists for all kinds of stuff. Grocery lists, Christmas lists, honey-do lists. I need you all to create your own GOTV list, your own Get Out the Vote list, comprised of 5 to 10 people that you know are not gonna show up unless you get them to show up. You know them, those people who say the system's rigged, those people who say my vote doesn't matter, those people who say my vote doesn't count, those people who say, man, I tried in 14, I tried in 16, I'm done trying. It's up to us to allow them the opportunity to stand on our shoulders so that they really understand the true essence and the value of the vote. We know in this room that their vote counts. We know in this room that their vote matters. They just need one of us to give them that reason to give it one more shot. One more shot. And when they keep giving you that pushback, tell them this. Our democracy is real. It is not fake. It is for the people and by the people. And our democracy depends on their voice. It depends on their voice. Make them believe that. Make them believers in something that means so much to us, resolving the issues that exist in our communities. It's time for us to elect people that represent our values, not just in this community, but throughout the state. So Polk County, let's hold it down for the state of Iowa. Let's get out the vote for the state of Iowa. Can we do it? Awesome. So without further ado, I know there's this woman who you all have been waiting to meet. Senator Kamala Harris, who hails from the great state of California. I want to tell you all, this woman is a force to be reckoned with. I have never met anybody in my life that defends grace or defends justice so tenaciously with grace. She has been the Attorney General of California, and now she hails as the infamous senator from California. Please join me in giving a warm Iowa welcome to Senator Kamala Harris.
Come on now. We got work to do. What's up, Polk County? All right. Deirdre DeGier, are we going to elect her? Yes. Let me tell you, you guys have a rock star in her, and of course, Fred Hubble. But I've been spending time with Deirdre. She came, and we sat down and had a long discussion many, many months ago. And she's got a vision, not only for Iowa, she's got a vision for the country. Because, you know, this is the reality of it. What happens here in Iowa and what you Polk County Democrats do will not only affect this county and this beautiful state, it will affect our nation. What you are doing here will be a statement about who we are as Americans. And there is so much on the line, and electing Deirdre DeGier will be a statement about who we are as Americans. So I'm here to thank you. I'm here to thank you because look how far we have come because of the work you each have been doing. Look how far we have come. We are now 15 days away from an election that probably is one of the most important elections of our lifetimes. And we have got to this moment with this momentum because of the work that each of you have put into fighting for the best of who we are as a country. And that's what's at stake, fighting for the best of who we are. You know, I've been talking with folks all day, and, you know, this is how I think about this moment. This is an inflection moment in the history of our country. This is an inflection moment. This is a pivotal moment. I think of this as being a moment in time, similar to the moment in time when my parents met when they were graduate students at the University of California, Berkeley in the 1960s and active in the civil rights movement. Yeah. This is a similar moment in time. This is a time that is requiring each of us individually and all of us collectively to look in a mirror and ask this question: who are we? And I believe, Polk County Democrats, I believe part of the answer to that question is, we are better than this. We are better than this. And so this is a moment to fight for the best of who we are. This is a moment to fight for the best of who we are. And fight we will. And you know, here's how I think about it. Anything that's worth fighting for is a fight worth having. Quote me on that. Anything worth fighting for is a fight worth having. And so that's what we're in. That's what we're in. It's worth fighting for. There are so many issues that are at play. The stakes are so high. I don't have to tell folks here, when we look at people who are privatizing Medicaid, we know the stakes are high. We know elections matter. Because, you know, hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. The reality is elections matter. And if we don't vote, right? If we don't get out there, we cannot put in place the people who will make the decisions that are in the best interest of all of us. Elections matter. And the reality of it is that what we know right now is we are at a moment in time where we have the power The people have the power to make the decisions. And so on a pivotal issue, when the stakes are so high like health care, here's what we say. You're not going to vote for our health care and health care for everybody? We're going to vote you out of office. We'll vote you out of office. Because we're going to vote. We're going to vote. And we're going to get everybody we know to vote. We're looking at a situation where we're saying, hey, we are not going to put up with people who use their power in a way that is to bully people and demean people and this display of raw power. We're not having that. We're not having that. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the power back. And how are we going to do that? We're going to vote. We're going to vote. And we're also going to understand that in fighting this fight, because it is a fight worth having, because there is so much at stake, we are also going to approach these next 15 days understanding that there is good reason for a lot of folks who are our neighbors, our friends, our family members, our coworkers, to feel the way a lot of folks in our country are feeling now, which is there's a great level of distrust. Distrust in our government, in its leaders and its institutions, and we're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to deal with that. Understanding that a relationship of trust by its very nature is a reciprocal relationship. You give and you receive trust. And one of the most important ingredients in trust is truth. Is truth. Right. But there's a funny thing about truth. Speaking truth can often make people quite uncomfortable. And for people like me and Deirdre and those of us who stand on these kinds of stages, you know, the incentive is that we will speak and everyone will feel lovely. And we will sprinkle lovely dust all over the crowd. And everyone will walk away, oh, I feel marvelous. And the day will have been a success. Speaking difficult, uncomfortable truths doesn't necessarily achieve that goal. But the other reality about speaking truth is this. Yes, people may walk away from that conversation saying, you know, I didn't particularly like what I had to hear. But they will also walk away from that conversation knowing it was an honest conversation. So let's speak some truths. Let's speak truth. And y'all are looking at me, okay, Kamala, what you got in mind? Okay, let's speak some truths, uncomfortable though they may be. If Charlottesville didn't make it clear, racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism, sexism are real in this country. Let's speak those truths so we can deal with it. Let's speak those truths. Let's speak truth that in this country right now, this economy is not working for working people. Let's speak that truth. It's a really interesting thing when you listen to folks who say, oh, the economy is great, they say. The economy is great. And then you ask, well, how exactly are you measuring that? What's the metric, right? Oh, well, look at the stock market. Well, that's fine if you have stocks. They'll say, oh, well, you know, the economy is doing great. You ask, well, how would that be? Well, you look at the unemployment numbers. Well, yeah, okay, people are working. They're working 2 and 3 jobs to pay their bills. The economy ain't working for working people. Let's look at what's happening in this country right now. For many, many Americans, they are $500 away, a $500 emergency away from economic catastrophe. Talk about health care. The leading cause of bankruptcy for many Americans is a hospital bill they cannot afford to pay. This economy ain't working, not for working people. In fact, one of the things I think we need to do as part of my vision for where I think we need to go is we need to reform the tax code of America. We need need to reform the tax code in a way that understands that unlike this thing that they passed, this tax so-called cut, right? Well, what they did is they cut taxes for the top 1%. They could permanently cut taxes for corporations, but not for working families. Do you know under this tax bill, on average, the top 1% is going to get an extra almost over $50,000 a year? Now, that money should be going to working people. That money should be going to working people. And so what I'm proposing is it's pretty simple. If a household has an income of less than $100,000, you get a $6,000 tax credit. And if you elect, you can collect it at $500 a month. So we can make sure that people are able to deal with the fact that you want to tout the economy. Well, guess what? Wages have remained flat while the cost of living keeps rising. Gas, housing, tuition, and we need to help working people live with dignity. Let's fix it. And let's speak truth. And let's speak truth. And Polk County Democrats, I'll say this. I think one of the most important truths that we can speak, especially at this moment in time, where there are such powerful voices that are trying to sow hate and division among us. One of the most important truths we can speak is the vast majority of us as Americans have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's speak that truth. Let's speak that truth. Let's speak that truth. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to have us point fingers at one another. It's us versus them. Let's reject that. Let us own the fact the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And I know that to be true. I know it to be true based on every personal, every professional experience I've had. I know it to be true based on what I call the kind of middle of the night thought. You know, some people call it the 3 a.m. thought. Some people call it the witching hour. You know what I'm talking about, right? The middle of the night, sometimes you wake up thinking that thought in a cold sweat. Well, for the vast majority of us, when we wake up thinking that thought in the middle of the night, it is never through the lens of the party with which we are registered to vote. When we wake up thinking that thought, it is never through some lens of some demographic a pollster put us in. And for most of us, when we wake up thinking that thought, it has to do with one of just a very few things. Our personal health, the health of our children or our parents. For so many Americans, can I get a job, keep a job, pay the bills by the end of the month, retire with dignity? For our students, can I pay off those student loans? The vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And as we move through these next 15 days, let us own that. Let us hold on to that. Let us understand we are all in this together. And let's also understand that, again, elections matter. And there may be powerful forces out there sowing hate and division among us, trying. But we're going to take back the power. We're going to take back the power. And we're going to take back the power through the power of our voice and the power of the people. And we're going to do this in a way that also understands this. We understand what's not working. We understand what's not working. And yes, we can point out some problems. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to speak these truths. And it's an interesting thing. Sometimes when we are critical of what's not working, we find that there are others who would suggest that that invites a question about one's love of country. Well, I reject that notion. In fact, I say there are two definitions of what it means to be a patriot. One, the definition that suggests that to be a patriot means you condone the conduct of your country. You condone the conduct of your country, whatever it does. And then there is the kind of patriot I believe us all to be. The kind that will fight each and every day for the ideals of our country. And that's what is at stake. That's what is at stake. This is about fighting for the best of who we are. And this is a fight that is born out of love of country. And nobody can take that from us. And so the final point then is this. Polk Democrats, we are 15 days out from this election. 15 days out. And this moment in the history of our country, at some point it will pass. It will be behind us. And our children and our grandchildren and others years from now are going to look in each of our eyes and they're going to ask us, so where were you at that inflection moment? Where were you? And what I know our answer is going to be is one, going to say, well, we were all hanging out tonight here together. But our answer is not going to end there. Our answer will be more about this moment than just saying how we felt. Our answer is going to be what we did, what action we took, that we stood out, we stood up, we marched, we shouted, we registered people to vote, we got people to the polls early, we text messaged, we emailed, we called people, we bugged the heck out of them. We annoyed them, but we knew they'd come back to us eventually. But we got them to know that their voices matter, that they matter, that we are all in this together. And so let's get out there for these next 15 days and put everything we've got into this. Let's not wake up in 16 days and have any regrets. There is too much on the line. We are better than this, and we are all in this together. And actually, I want to also mention, just as an aside, the thing about early voting. So, because that's a really big deal. And, it's interesting because, some of us, we remember, and all of us should remember the history. We have good aspects of our history and not good aspects of our history. One is that aspect of our history that denied folks the right to vote, African Americans and women. And so many of us, honoring that fight and understanding how precious it is to have this right to vote, we have ceremonies about voting. And we go to the polls on election day and we bring our kids and we take selfies and we do all of that. Well, let me just remind everybody, Polk Democrats, we can honor the ancestors by voting early. We can honor the ancestors by voting early. Let's get those votes in. Let's get those votes in. Let's make our votes count. Let's do everything we can for these next 15 days. The fearless leader who is putting everything out there to bring us all together. Where's Sean? Come on up here.
All right, everybody, we have voter registration booths out there. We have volunteer signups. Do not leave without committing to doing something. Join me one more time in thanking Senator Kamala Harris for joining us tonight. Let's do everything we can to get this woman elected. Thank you all. 14 more days. We will see you at victory. Have a good night.
Will you take a picture of me, my friend? You're so funny. I don't have something on. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm from San Diego. Thank you so much for coming. I love you. Oh my God. get you next.
What's going on?
We have a whole group of swords back there. Here to support you back there, honey. Oh man! Wait a minute. One more time. I didn't get it. All right. I'm sorry.
Kind of here, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we got it. Okay. You're awesome, Senator.
Hey, can you get one of me?
Like one step in. Right, I got it.
Thank you. Go.
That's fantastic. Are you guys friends? Oh no, I'm with my other friends. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for everything. We're pretending to be you. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, come on guys. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Would you be able to get a full picture of us?
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi guys. Here. Senator, we play you in
All right, Mr. Sternberg, smile. There you go.
All of you know? Yeah, we play you in
You might get it.
I can't do it, man. Here, I can take yours.
Thank you. Thank you so
much.
Thank you for coming out. I'll be real quick. Thank you very much for being here. Sure.
I got a bite. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see the camera.
Ron, I really love you. Everything you do.
Hey, do you mind?
Do you mind if we get a video or a picture?
We'll do a picture.
Picture, okay. Oh my God, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I'm Ed. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Okay, who's doing it?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate you coming out. See, this is better than Central Committee, right?
Ready?
Next Monday.
Okay. Can I get one? Yep. I gotta give you a hug too. I've seen it. Really admire you. Hi, can I get a picture with you? I love you. You're so great. Get out and vote. Get everybody to vote. I did. Okay, show your love. Take a picture.
There you go.
Can I shake your hand?
No.
And we're going to keep fighting, right? And we're not going to let anyone silence. We're not letting anyone release, right? So it's like, yeah, a difference in my life. You know what? This is a fight we're having. One of the main things I think about, that a fight we're having, right?
I'm new to this, so. There we go, thank you. Congratulations. These are the fight. Can I get a picture with you, please? Can we get a picture again? Not signing.
One, two,
Thank you so much.
Senator Peg. Senator Harris. One more. One more. Will you take one more photo right here? Okay, here.
And I need to know who you are. Who are you? I'm Kamala. It's nice to meet you. Sorry. Why did you enjoy the rally? Are you telling all the adults you know? And you know what? The thing that I love about being here is that the leadership starts at every people first decides to just be there. Take a picture. That's really important.
Can I get a picture?
Sure.
See you next time.
Are you with her?
Take a picture.
Thank you.
Okay, come here. Oh, thank you so much. Are you smiling? Yeah? Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah? Thank you so much, Senator. Bye, sweetheart. I'll see you next time. But remember what I said. You're a leader now. Okay. Right.
Look at a quick photo. A quick photo. Right here.
Okay, here.
Thank you so much for your work. I'm a huge fan. Do you want a photo?
Hi there. I'm Michelle. I'm not.
She's a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah.
She has to be on Medicaid.
But I watched all your those Kavanaugh hearings. Like
You're a fighter, I'm a fighter, we're all fighting together, right?
Yep, I've already voted, so.
Okay, good. Get that vote in the bank, and now you have to get like 5 other people to vote,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So can I get pictures? Of course.
Senator Harris. Can I get a real quick selfie? Can I get a quick photo? Thank you.
Senator Harris, like a weed.
It's so cute. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making the world.
Can I get a picture?
Thank you for trying to hold people accountable. And I love it when you say, I don't want to filibuster, just answer the question. You were the best.
Thank you.
You were the best.
Thank you.
You, really, truly.
Really appreciate
the world's
that.
a better place to be.
And all of us.
And wait,
Thank you.
my wife and I waited for 2020.
Yes.
I'm not kidding.
14 days for this. Do I have a quick photo?
We have a small right here.
Right here. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you run.
She's got to get a picture right here. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Senator, can we take a picture quick? Okay, Senator, will you take a picture, please? The 3 of us. Oh, wait, can I get in there? Get in there. 3 for the price of 1. Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you for coming, Senator. We love you. Sorry, this is so overwhelming. Senator, do you mind if we take a picture of you? Sorry. Thank you so much for your work. 1, 2, 3. I just want to say, I'm a sexual assault survivor. I really appreciate what you did in the Mary, you there? Mental health.
I'm here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, where are my sorrows? Come on.
Senator Harris, over here.
Come on. Let's take a picture.
Mary, did you get a picture?
No, she can't.
Gotta make sure you get it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ms. Harris, can we ask a question? Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
J-O-E-N.
J-O?
Can I ask a question?
Thank you for your work on the Judiciary Committee.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask a question?
Senator, I'm supposed to be moving you out
Yeah,
this
my
way. I'm
question
sorry.
is, can you stand right there and take a picture with me?
Sure.
No, my
All right,
question.
there you are. Wait. Hey.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What can we do on a day like today when Trump comes out and actually lies to the people about Congress working to reduce taxes for middle-income people when Congress is not even in session?
No, you're right.
But people believe it.
So you're right. And so what we have to do is we have to just keep reminding people of the truth of it. And
I try.
No, but we can't give up. We
Yeah.
can't give up. Right? The
Well, how do
truth
you
is the
fight a
truth.
liar? I've always found that to be the most
With the truth,
difficult
because
thing
it
ever.
literally the truth is always going to reveal itself. A lie will always
You're
reveal
out there
itself.
doing it. I so appreciate it.
Don't,
It's so
Andy, do you want a picture?
Don't lose
He's
heart.
lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come here.
Senator, our property manager is here. Would you mind getting a picture with
Yeah, no, why don't we bring him
Yeah.
here?
Andy, come on back.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Oh, no, listen to people I don't want to make
Sean will get it signed. Miss Wednesday.
So appreciate it.
Guys,
Yeah, let's.
I'd like to get turned around.
yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
I'm sorry. Did you get a picture? Yeah, I'm just trying to turn around too.
I didn't realize we'd get so close on this trip, but first time ever. Thank you.
Because we're told
Turn around.
What branch are you in?
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you. What branch? What branch?
Army Medical and serve, so please go forward. Please.
Thank you. Thank
Not
you.
only for us, but for women.
You bought 60 minutes. Nice to meet you.